Hi everybody, and welcome to another Mediumship Clinic live question answer with me, Martin Twycross, bringing you practical down-to-earth teachings on mediumship and development without the fluff. So welcome to everybody who's joining us in the room. Do pop your name in the chat. Good evening, Catherine. Put your name in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me okay. That's pretty important that you can actually hear me. So I have had a slight challenge with the setup this evening, so I've had to reboot it just before we came online, so I'm hoping that it's all functioning now. So do let me know I'm going through loud and clear. That's really important for me. And yeah, so say hello. If you have any questions, you can start putting them in the chat. The way it works with these live question and answers is that it's an opportunity for you to ask me any questions you like on mediumship, development, spiritualism, etc. And I will do my best to answer them honestly, truthfully, and give you my opinion. If my opinion resonates with you, that's wonderful. And if it doesn't, feel free to let it go. I don't mind. So that's how it works. If you pop your questions in the chat, I will work through them one at a time. It's a bit hot and sticky here at the moment. Over 30 degrees C in the room at the moment. So it's quite a warm one here in England at the moment. We're having a bit of a heat wave in London. So I've got lights on in the room as well to help light me up, and it's probably only going to get hotter. So if you see me sweating a little bit, you'll know why. It's pretty warm, pretty warm. So the news as well is that my 2025 mentorship, it still has spaces available. If you're interested in that, there is details on my website at martintwycross.com mentorship. You can check it out there. So in a nutshell, the mentorship, it's a comprehensive course, takes place over 10 months. It starts this coming weekend on the 20th of July. As I say, there are spaces available, so do get in touch and let me know if you're interested in joining. So it's 10 sessions, each session lasting about 5.5 hours on a Sunday. So there's 10 of those sessions, teaching sessions, where I will teach the foundations of mediumship, give you lots of tools to work with, and we do exercises that follow on from the theory. So I'll give you a bit of theory about how to work with mediumship, maybe on how to get more detailed evidence, and then we work with that. So I give you a bit of theory about how we're going to work with the story of the communicator, and we do something on that. Or I'll give you a bit of theory on how we develop that closer blend to bring forward the presence and essence of the communicator, and we do an exercise with that. So that's how it typically goes. There is a focus primarily for those who are at the intermediate to advanced. You do need to be able to make a link with spirit to be able to do it. You have to make that link on demand, of course, absolutely, because we're going to be doing these exercises, and of course you've got to do it in real time, that's for sure. So there's some added extras within it as well. Everybody gets the opportunity to have a 1-hour coaching and assessment session with me at the end, where I look at how you've worked over the course of the last year, and we go into what's working, what's not, where you want to go with your mediumship, and how best to get you there. Also, everyone gets to submit a reading for review, hopefully a reading you're happy with. I'll review it and we can talk through it. We can look at what's working well, and we can look at areas that can be lifted to make it better. Also, I give you the opportunity to do a reading for me as well, if you want to do that, and we can work on that as well and see how that works for you. Everybody gets the opportunity to do a student dem as well, a public demonstration of mediumship, 1 or 2 links depending on how comfortable you are with that. And again, you'll get feedback on your public work. Also within that, I also do at least 1 or 2 links in the demonstrations as well. And I will talk to you about how my links go. So you'll get to see me work. And if you like, I'll talk about what worked well and what didn't within my own links. So if you like, I'm critiquing, assessing my own mediumship for you in the process as well, which many of the previous mentorship students found that particularly helpful. There is a Facebook group as well, and if you miss any classes, there are recordings of the theoretical parts of the classes and the exercise instructions. And I encourage people to get together with other mentorship students. And if you miss an exercise, I encourage people to do those exercises between classes. So there is homework set between classes as well, and I encourage people to do those exercises as well. Now, it's always hard for me to say to people, hey, what are you going to get from the mentorship? You know, I'm not one who goes crazy about blowing my own trumpet. I'm quite a humble person. And people say, hey, if I did your mentorship, what would I get from it? And, you know, I don't say that you're going to be an amazing medium at the end. I don't want to say to you it's going to be transformative to your mediumship, in case it's not. So what I'll do is I shall tell you just a few highlights from all the previous feedback I got. If you're on my Facebook page, do check out the feedback I posted there. If you're on my mailing list, I mailed it out recently as well. But I'll just give you a few highlights of the words that some people said from last year's course, how it benefited them. So one person said, Martin's mentorship program has been truly transformative for my development in both mediumship readings and platform work. Another one said, I learned an incredible amount and my mediumship improved as a result. Another one, it totally changed my outlook and connection to spirit and transformed my practice of mediumship. That's a working medium. Another one, not only was I able to improve my mediumship, but I was able to improve the way I see myself as a working medium. More feedback, I highly recommend Martin's mentorship training. It's truly unique and like no other online mediumship development course. And it taught me how to become a better medium. So that's a little bit of how it helped other people. So you can see that those who've already done it did gain benefit from it and did find it helpful. For me, it's absolute joy and pleasure to work with people, to help move them along their mediumship journey, to be a part of their mediumship journey. And obviously with the mentorship, I get to see you work many, many times. I get to see what's working in your mediumship. So if it sounds of interest, check it out. As I say, you can look at it on my website, www.martintwycross.com/mentorship. And all the details are on there. But as I say, it does start this coming Sunday, Sunday the 20th. So please, if you would like to join, I guess the absolute deadline is going to be, let me know by Friday the 18th of July, because it starts Sunday the 20th and we need to put a few things in place. So if that's of interest, let me know. I'm hoping we'll get a few more to sign up for that to help me with that. So, okay, let's have a look at the questions. So good evening to Catherine, Kristin, Universal Wilding, Kelly. Good to see you all. So the first question, a very peculiar question. I'm hearing a lot lately about mediumship, spirituality and AI. Curious what your take is on that. Thank you so much. And meaning using AI as a tool in mediumship. Now, to be honest, I've never used AI as a tool in mediumship. I use AI for a lot of things. It's a very powerful thing to help us with many, many things. But with your mediumship is all about the connection to spirit. Very hard to do anything with AI on that. That's about you working with you. You know, so you tell me in the chat box, anybody listening, you can tell me in the chat how you think AI can help with mediumship. But for me, it would be on the absolute periphery. It'd be on the edges. You know, most AI doesn't actually believe in mediumship. So there you go. I've talked to AI about mediumship, and it tells me it's a load of, you know, there's no basis. There's no scientific basis for it. So most of the AI programs don't actually believe in it. But of course, once you tell it to believe in it, and it starts coming from your angle, yeah, it can help you a little bit more on that. But it's not one I've actually thought about using. It's not one that I feel I would want to make a part of my own work. But yeah, if you've got ideas on AI and mediumship, stick them in the chat box. And then we'll see where we go with that. And I'll talk about whatever you put in there. Universal Wildling. I love that we observe you doing the work. Yeah, I think, you know, if you're going to work with a mentor, for me, you want to see that mentor work as well. You want to see what works well in their mediumship, and you want to understand, you know, I'm teaching you to do something. I want you to see that I can do it too. And I want you to see that I can see within my own mediumship areas for improvement, because none of us ever stop learning. If a tutor ever says to you that they've reached the pinnacle and they can't get any better, it's not true. All of us are capable of improving, self included. So for me, absolutely. I'm humble enough to video myself, humble enough to demonstrate with you as well, humble enough to tell you when it goes wrong, humble enough to say I wasn't totally happy with that, could have done better there. Absolutely. That's the way we need to be. Sometimes we work and it's a flyer. I get that. I see that. That's really nice. But sometimes it doesn't. But we learn more when it doesn't work. That's absolutely the case. Absolutely the case. So Kelly, hi, what are your thoughts on reincarnation? Reincarnation resonates strongly with me, but I remember on a past clinic of yours, you don't believe in it. Why is that, please? So it's not that I don't believe in reincarnation as a possibility. So that's the important thing to recognize. However, the problem we have is we live in a universe that is phenomenal, beyond anybody's comprehension. When you look at how many stars, how many universes there are for a start, how many stars within those universes there are, and how many planets there are, none of us could comprehend the scale and the size and the numbers involved. They have so many zeros, none of us can even comprehend that. Would be a little bit limited to think that we keep coming back to the earth as the only mechanism of gaining life experience. Think about it. We live in a world of infinite worlds. Within the spirit world, there are worlds within worlds. If there are an infinite number of galaxies, then guess what? There's going to be a huge number of places you can go to gain physical experience. Do I think we're alone in this world? Absolutely not. Can I prove it? No, absolutely not. So the problem I have is this limited view of we come from an earthly body. We come from an earthly life. We keep thinking that it's back to the earth and back to the earth. And okay, some religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, have that built into their foundational beliefs. But when you hear a lot of spirit guides talk, they say there are way more ways of gaining experience than coming back to the earth. And some of the profound guides like Silver Birch said that the majority of people do not reincarnate. There is no reason to reincarnate. There's no reason to repeat your time on the earth. Coming to the earth is one way of gaining experience and life experience and growing the soul. But there are a multitude of other ways of doing that. And what he said is in some scenarios, very, very occasionally, somebody would come back for another earthly life, but that's very, very rare. Say you arrived in this world as a child and you died as a baby. You didn't fulfill your true potential in this lifetime. Maybe on that scenario, you could come back for another earthly life because your time maybe was cut short by illness, disease, what have you. But Silver Birch said as well that within the spirit world, he knows of very few people who've ever had a second incarnation upon the earth. And that's interesting to me because that makes a lot of sense. Now, if we do believe in this concept of reincarnation, is it a constant cycle? Well, how would that explain your loved ones being in the spirit world, communicating back through a medium? So clearly, if your loved ones are coming through a medium to communicate, then clearly to me, they've not come back for another earthly life, at least not as the same person that they are. So for me, the brain, consciousness, intelligence that is Martin in this world, I don't expect to come back to this world. No. But maybe I'm part of a greater soul. Maybe I'm part of something larger, an oversoul, a group of souls, where I can share my life experience and where I share their life experiences for all of our spiritual development to be raised. So I'm but one part of a greater whole. I'm but one limb of a tree. I'm but one stem of a plant. But I am part of the plant, absolutely. That may be the oversoul, the group, but I'm an aspect of it as well. And your loved ones, they grow in the spirit world. They are the same personality. They are the same intelligence. So they continue on. And because of that, they're not reincarnating and coming back to the earth and being unavailable. So a part of a soul, the oversoul or the group of souls, one of those can keep reincarnating to take experience back to the whole. But it's not you as the individual. You as the individual, you've been given this individual consciousness. And this individual consciousness is what will grow and move forwards. So that in itself is what is growing. But it doesn't need a constant repetition of earthly experience. When there are an infinite number of worlds, It doesn't make sense to me to keep coming back to this world. And when I look at, so I've done a bit of past life regression. So I'm a trained hypnotherapist. I've worked with regular regression, where we take people back into their past, where it's very clear there's risks of false memories. With past life regression, there's even greater risk of false memories. So how do you, I'm a medium. I can link with people. They can give me their earthly experiences, their life experiences. How do I know that when I receive a past life experience, it's mine? How do I know it was belonging to me and not belonging to somebody else in the spirit world, not belonging to somebody who's a part of my soul group, not belonging to somebody that's an aspect of my oversoul? I don't. So it's clear that it's not necessarily mine. A lot of past life experiences are not real. When you think about a lot of people come back as an Egyptian. I love this. They're all Egyptians. Everyone's an Egyptian. And when you look at how many Egyptians there were, I forget the number, but it's not many. Maybe it's 1 million or 2 million Egyptians during the time of the pyramids, etc. That time of ancient Egypt. The current population in the world is several billion. If you've only got a couple of million, then the chances of you having an Egyptian past life is something stupid, like, if there's 3 billion, that's 3,000 million. And so it's like a 1 in 3,000 chance or less. Absolutely. It's tiny. It doesn't make sense. The vast majority of people, 99.99 whatever, would not have that experience if we're looking at it purely from the point of view of statistics. Which I'm a scientific background, you see. This is the problem. So for me, could it be that we have this, what we call the fragmented soul theory, where the soul itself different parts can go off and have lives. But the part that is me, the part that is my mind, my intelligence, the part that is your loved one's intelligence, that, I believe, stays discrete, stays separate, and continues on, even though it's interconnected to the whole. So I'm giving you a pretty detailed answer on reincarnation here. And in spiritualism, reincarnation, some people believe in it, some people don't. Many guides have said that reincarnation is not what we perceive it to be. It's not what we perceive it to be. It's way more complex than that. And when I talk to most people about reincarnation, it's the simplistic view they have. So you've got to open your mind to a much more complicated, complex view. My guides have spoken about it in some detail, and at some stage maybe I shall put their words out there for you to read, because I can barely do them justice in terms of the quality of what they can bring through. But again, they've said that reincarnation, whilst possible, is pretty rare, because there is this multitude of worlds. There is this multitude of experience we can gain. We're not restricted to this little planet we call Earth in this tiny, infinitesimally small aspect of the entire greater universe, physical universe, not to mention the even greater spiritual universe. So that's probably a fairly comprehensive, detailed answer for you. So, and one thing I did as well, when I did past lives with people, a lot of it wasn't historically accurate. And nobody had a past life in a boring life. They all had something dramatic happening to them. Now, there's a real power of past life regression to collapse issues with people. If you've got a fear or phobia, we can take you into a past life regression where something happened to you that explains your phobia, and it helps to collapse it. But your mind is an incredibly powerful tool. Your subconscious mind is incredibly creative and could create that. So a lot of past life memories are inaccurate. And my favorite example of this is that a university psychology department, they looked at past lives, and then they got a whole bunch of people. And then they said, right, you had a past life as an animal. So looked at all these past lives. They did this study of all these past life regressions. Not one person was an animal in a past life, not one. Then they got all these people together and they told them that you had a past life as an animal. And we're going to do some past life regression. And they didn't then say you're going to come forward as an animal. They just told them that some of your past lives may have been as animals. And a huge proportion of people, 40 or 50% of people, suddenly were given past lives as animals. Whereas when we look at how likely an animal came up without the suggestion, it never happened at all. So therefore, what does it tell you? We are all incredibly suggestive. It's our subconscious mind is incredibly suggestive, which is exactly how hypnotherapy works. It's giving suggestions to create desired outcomes. So the point is, if psychologists can create fake past lives, huge numbers easily, just by saying a suggestion, that makes me question a lot of past lives, because it has to. If you read that experiment, then you have to start questioning, because we are all so susceptible. If you read a book on past life regression, yes, you are open to it. Yes, you may have that belief. Yes, you'll bring a past life forward. But was it really yours? Is it actually true? No evidence for it whatsoever. We can't have any evidence for it. And who's to say if it is a past life, it's not somebody else's who's got a connection to you within your soul group, within your wider spiritual family, etc. So there you are. There you are. And absolutely, there are many books and many people who discuss past lives. And I'm not having a go at anybody. You know, there's a lot of these past life books and then these lives between lives books. I've read some of them, but for me, it just doesn't resonate. I think that the whole picture is way more complex than these simple ideas can ever portray. If you listen to what spirit bring forward through trance mediums, it's way more complex than that. So hopefully that makes sense. So the idea of an oversoul, the oversoul is like, it's like, if you like, a core soul or a group soul that all these souls belong to, which stores all the overarching experiences of all those souls, and all the life experiences of all the souls within that group, say, or that oversoul, is shared with everybody else. So we all develop much quicker. Rather than having to have life after life after life after life to learn, we have our current life, but because we're part of a greater oversoul with lots of experience, all that other experience is pulled in. You know, we talk about some people being old souls. Maybe they've got a lot of access to other life experiences within that greater soul that they are part of. Anyway, so what I say now, some of you will scream at the computer and say, no, this is absolute cobblers. If you take your screen, no, don't believe him. It's not my view. And I totally understand that. I get that. I'm giving you where I've got to in my own journey, my own research, with my own knowledge, my own training with hypnotherapy and past lives. And past lives as a tool to deal with phobias, fears, issues in your life, very, very powerful. And so using it as a tool in that way, a therapeutic tool, brilliant. But do I believe the past lives that come forward are real? Many of them, no. They're just too fancy in my mind for them to be real. There's too many ancient Egyptians, too many Native Americans, etc., etc. It's all the archetypes, and that doesn't make sense to me. Why can't somebody just be a normal person? Why can't someone just be a big man from Birmingham? But we don't get that. We don't get that. So there you go. Yeah, Debbie, you feel the same about past life regression. It doesn't resonate. Absolutely. If it works for you, if it resonates for you, if you do it, brilliant. If it doesn't, it doesn't. For me, it never really did. It's never sat well. And reading a lot of the great guides within spiritualism, what they say, I used to go to a lot of trance mediums. And the first question I would ask is reincarnation. And I think a lot of mediums probably got fed up of me because I wanted to know their take on reincarnation. And very, very few of them said we go on this cycle of reincarnation. The vast majority of trance mediums who I respected, their guides talking about it being way more complex and way more subtle in its nuances. And the fact that we don't need to have this constant cycle. That's not the way it is. So, yeah, now Allan Kardec is within the Spiritism tradition, which does have a very strong reincarnation background. The problem is nobody can ever prove reincarnation. Yes, there are children who have past life memories, quite profound past life memories, absolutely. I'm not knocking that. But what I'm saying is we can't say that they're not highly mediumistic in receiving them from their soul group. It's not to say that as a young child, you have an influence of all that information within your soul group or oversoul, and they may be able to bring it forward with such profound ability. So we can't say it's specifically your past life. That's the important thing to see. So anyway, that question took quite some time to answer. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay. So what else have we got? Chloe, how do we book a reading with you? You can contact me on my website. I don't do a huge amount of readings, to be honest, and there is a waiting list. If you're interested, you can contact me through the website and we'll see what we can do. But generally, I don't do a huge number of readings because of a lot of other commitments I have at the moment. I primarily do a lot of readings within the churches and my home church. Kim, good morning from New Zealand. Good morning to you, and well done for coming from New Zealand, probably very early in the morning for you, I suspect. How would you respond to a light work who undermines your own work? And to anybody who undermines your own work, what can you do? The ego gets incredibly angry. The ego gets upset. But the soul carries on doing the work because it's so important. The soul can dissociate. One of my courses I teach, one of the courses already done, spiritual self-development. Highly recommend that course for everybody, whether you're interested in developing or not, because everybody, all of you, are both an ego and a soul. All of you are lower self, higher self. And with the whole of our life, we have to approach it from the spiritual. The whole of the purpose of life is for us to become more spiritual. Absolutely. So any challenges we face upon our journey, then for me, we really need to come from that space of the wisdom that exists within us as the soul, the higher self. And, you know, if someone's not very nice about you, send them healing. Absolutely. It speaks more volumes about them than it does you. I always say that, you know, it's usually people projecting stuff out. It's usually other people's insecurities and fears and anxieties being projected. So the key thing is, you know, don't get too involved in it. If you can separate yourself from it, do so. If you need to say something or set boundaries, and that's another aspect we need to do, but try and do it all from a place of love, a place of kindness, a place from trying not to create harm. Other people may be trying to create harm for you, but wish them well. If you can, remove yourself from their presence, distance yourself from their impact upon you, but do not allow it to affect you. Rise above it. Rise above it. That's how the best way we can deal with these things. Absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at the next questions. Okay. Bad Moja. I also wonder if people experience these visions are having mediumistic communications without realizing it. Absolutely, that is a possibility. The possibility is that they are doing mediumship. You know, as mediums, we have to be open to the possibility that them getting this information is actually mediumship. Absolutely. Okay, Kim, I've been doing a lot of platform work. There's a few mediums who question my method. How do you cope with this? And well, a lot of us, we get this. I see this a lot. When I first started working, I'll share this with you, on platform, I don't always go direct. Some people are trained to pick someone in the audience and then go to them. And they usually work pretty poorly. You know, they usually work, you know, if they went to anyone in the room with the information they give, I often find that anybody could take it. Whereas I didn't have direction for a long, long time, and I had to throw it out. And I remember some well-known mediums in local mediums saying, any medium has to throw it out as a rubbish medium. And I'd say, I throw it out. Does that make me a rubbish medium? And say, yeah, you need to learn to do it properly. And it's like, no, I'm sorry, I disagree. So we have a disagreement. And they think I'm a young upstart because I've only been on the circuit a year or two. And they've been on the circuit for 20, 30 years. But their vision is outdated. And the way when I watch them, I think, okay, if you're fabulous, let me come see you work and dem. And I watch them, and it's fluff. They're giving guides. They're just doing, they're just doing psychic readings. It's like, sorry, you may be able to go direct, but the work of spirit is to open to the spirit communicator and allow spirit to come through us to reach their loved one, to allow that communication to take place, to allow that reunion to take place, to allow healing to take place, to touch souls. And that doesn't always need direction. Absolutely not. As long as you get to where you're going, as long as the evidence, and as long as when you're working with people, you can sense where you are, you don't need to have profound direction. So they would question how I work. I would in turn question how they work, but not to their face. I would question it in my own mind that I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. I don't think it's meeting the aims of what spirit would want. So for me, I'd say thank you very much. That's your opinion. I have my opinion. We'll just go our separate ways. And really, that's it, isn't it? That's the best we can do. If people question how you work, that's the best you can do. Are you sure the way you're working is right? The way we work changes over time. As our knowledge changes, how we work changes. Absolutely. But I'm always open to being better. Absolutely. I don't think I know it all. I don't think I have all the knowledge yet. I'm always open to different concepts and ideas, and I appreciate all of that. So keep an open mind, be open to change. But if you're pretty sure that what you're doing is right for you, stay with it. Don't allow anyone to change you. And Sheila, thank you very much for your super chat. That is much appreciated. I shall have a coffee on you. Thank you. Do you have a question to go with it? I don't see one. If you'd like to get your question answered to the next question, you can always make a small donation through super chat. That's one way of doing it. But I can't see a question, so that's okay. Kelly, thank you, expertly answered. I love Silver Birch, and I recall him saying we don't reincarnate. All of my past lives given to me have been earthbound. Apparently I was an Egyptian scribe. Another one. You are the 1 in 3,000. That's you. Brilliant. MB, one finds a spirit guide when sitting in the power meditation. You can use sitting in the power and adapt it to be able to connect with guides. The purpose of sitting in the power is to make yourself accessible to spirit. The purpose of sitting in the power is to create that connection with spirit so they get to know your energy, you get to know their energy, your guides can work with you, it can unfold the potentials from within. But if you want to get to know your guides, you can sit in the power, you can blend with the spirit world, and then you can invite your guides to draw close so you may feel their energy, you may feel their calling card, you may feel their energy signature. You may get to know them, but of course, there's a risk that our own imagination kicks in as well. So we've always got to remember that not everything you get may be truly, truly accurate. But we can certainly get to feel and sense their energies and get to know them from that perspective. So it can be used in that way, absolutely. And one of my courses, Understanding Guides and Helpers, which is one at the very top there, that course there, that one there we go through all about how to get to know your guides and helpers, and I do give a whole number of meditations for you to get to know your guides and helpers. And of course, one of those meditations is exactly that. It's the extension of sitting in the power where we start inviting guides to blend with us so we can get to understand. So if you'd like to be guided through that process, there's a guided meditation within that course there, if that's of interest to you. Universal Wildling. I've been working as a medium and healer for many years now and long for a circle to sit in, but don't have any in my community. Do you offer online development weekly, bi-weekly circles? Sadly, I don't know. There are a lot of people who do, but it's not something that I offer at this moment in time, mainly because, again, of time commitments. I'm quite heavily involved with the local church. I am a secretary treasurer of my local church, which takes quite a bit of time, and my teaching and other things as well. It's hard to find the time, so I don't run any circles like that. The only thing I really do offer at the moment is the mentorship course. As I say, if that's of interest, do check it out. I spoke about it at the beginning in this session. You can go back to that part and have a listen if you like. There's also another video on YouTube about it. So if that's of interest and you're at the intermediate to advanced level, I'd love for you to get in touch about the mentorship. And at some stage in the future, I will offer some short theme-based courses, maybe like four weekly sessions on a certain topic or theme. But at the moment, I don't have any plans for any sort of weekly or bi-weekly circles. To be honest, because I'm a working medium as well, and I just look at my calendar this week of a couple of DEMs this week, and one the following week. I do healing every week as well as my commitments within the church. It's just I very rarely have that many evenings free, so it's just hard to squeeze it all in. Kim, I really appreciate your teaching. I follow your guidance on YouTube. Mediumship, thank you for answering my questions. You are very welcome. Very welcome. Tilly, does having health issues affect connecting with spirit? It can do. It can do. If you're in a lot of pain, it can get in the way a little bit of your work with spirit. If you have any issues affecting the mind, anyone who has mental health issues, generally we don't recommend them to do mediumship or be in development until those issues are settled and resolved. So got to be very, if somebody cannot tell what's real in their life and what's not, it's not a good idea to try and throw working with spirit in the mix when they're already having issues just living in this life. I think hopefully you'll all understand what I'm trying to say with that. So then we get into physical health issues, we get into emotional issues, mental health, stress issues. Stress can affect mediumship dramatically, absolutely. When we are emotionally affected by things, that can get in the way as well as our health can get in the way. Side effects of certain medications can make it hard to do mediumship. If you've got some kind of condition like fibromyalgia or ME and it makes you very, very tired, you may find it quite hard to maintain the energy levels you need. So there are a whole bunch of things that happen with health. Mediumship does not make you ill. It's important to see and recognize that. I am looking at pulling together a course on, I don't really know what the working title might be, self-care for mediumship or health and mediumship, but it's so much more than that. It's like, what's the best diet for mediumship? Or put all these things to rest, like, should you drink coffee with mediumship? Should you eat red meat with mediumship? Should you be a vegan or vegetarian? Also, when should you work and when shouldn't you? And it's all this kind of stuff. And how do we look after ourselves as mediums to ensure we can be the best in terms of service to the people in this world we're serving and to the people in the spirit world? So there's a course in the offing on that at the moment as well. So health issues can affect it, but many people who have health issues, what they say is when they're doing mediumship, all those things fall away. Some people say that if you're not well, spirit take it all away and then give it you all back at the end. And technically that's not true. What's happening is you're moving away from your conscious mind. You're moving to an altered state, and in that altered state, pain is diminished. So, for example, we can use hypnotherapy to take people into a state where the pain in if they're under chronic pain, it can be diminished. And it's the same sort of thing because we're moving away from our normal, regular state of mind in mediumship and blending with the spirit realm. That process of moving into the altered state means that whatever's happening in our lives, pain-wise or health-wise, we move away from it. And then when we return to our regular mind, our normal self, back as me, in here and now, I become aware of all my health conditions. I become aware of my pain. I become aware of this niggle and that niggle. It all comes back. But it's not that spirit took it away. It's just that in that process of moving ourselves to the spirit world, moving our mind, raising our vibration away from where we normally are, moving ourselves into the altered state. That's what creates it. Important to recognize that. So yes, so I hope that helps answer your question a little bit. If you've got anything specifically you want to ask about, by all means, you can do. Nimi Kupata, which makes me wish to ask, have you seen mediumship evolve? So everybody's own mediumship evolves. Everybody's own, as you as a medium, you're constantly evolving, constantly changing. Hopefully, if we are serious about our development, we're constantly improving and evolving. Some mediums get to a plateau and they're happy and they stay there. What tends to happen is if you get to a level you're happy with, it will diminish because your mediumship is forever changing. I have a video on my channel about that, about why my mediumship seems to be getting worse. And what's happening is your mediumship is just changing, evolving, and we've got to stay with it. We've got to respond to those changes. And if we don't, it makes life harder for us. Like, for example, if I'm very used to seeing images in my mind, if I'm very used to getting detailed health conditions, and then all of a sudden that part stops working as well, the images diminish, I don't sense the health conditions anymore, then if that's all I worked with in my mediumship, I'd be stuck. But if something goes down, something else comes up. So we learn to say, okay, that's not working as well as it used to. It still works a bit though, but I'm going to move to what is working really well now and work more with that. So we just have to adapt and be willing to change. That's the important thing. But is mediumship as a whole changing? Is mediumship evolving on the whole? In the past, we had a lot of fabulous mediums who were absolutely amazing at things like clairaudience. Mediums like Helen Hughes, Gordon Higginson, Estelle Roberts, who had profound clairaudience where they could just bring through the most phenomenally accurate, detailed information. We don't see so much of that. Does that mean mediumship has gone backwards? No. For me, mediumship is a constant. Mediumship is a constant. But we have to move ourselves to the point where it works well. And so we've got to do the work. In the past, life was simpler. In the past, there was no social media. In the past, there was no real TV to speak of. It wasn't huge like it is now. You know, we didn't have the internet, didn't have YouTube, didn't have any of this. So life was much simpler in the past. And mediums were able to focus on it more. Mediums of old, the great mediums of the past, I do have a course on great mediums of the past. I highly recommend it. It's the only one that's not shown there because there's 9. There's only 8 on that screen. But great mediums of the past, I highly recommend that course. I talk about the 5 mediums who most inspire me. Gordon Higginson, Estelle Roberts, Helen Hughes, Maurice Barbanel, and Harry Edwards. And I go through their lives. I go through the qualities they had. I go through the challenges they faced. And then I do a final class on what we can learn from them, which is quite profound. But in looking at them, one thing they all had, well, it was a calling for them. It was something they absolutely had to do. And it was never about the money. It was never about the fame. It was never about recognition and becoming well known. They did it from that space within of service, of love, of doing it for the right reasons. And if you learn nothing else, the more we do it for the right reasons, the more likely it is to flourish. That's the important thing. That's the important thing to recognize. So that's what I learned from mediums of the past. So is mediumship evolving? I don't think it is, because it's just a mechanism that the way we blend with the spirit world is the way we've always blended with the spirit world. The way mediumship's worked is the way it's always worked. There aren't any shortcuts. If there were, we'd all be fabulous mediums now, better than all the mediums of old, and yet we're not. There was a lot of physical mediumship in the past. There's not so much now. Again, people say it's the conditions we live in. It's the electromagnetic radiation. It's this, it's that, it's the other. Who knows? But maybe there's not such a need for it now. Maybe spirit don't perceive there's a need for it in this world as much. But there is a need for people to understand that their loved ones survive physical death. And there is a need for us as humanity to understand that bigger picture, to understand that this earthly life is not it. It's but one step of a much greater journey, a much greater adventure. For us to understand that what we do in our lives has consequences for us and others. And what we do in our lives will affect our future. There will always be a price to pay for doing the wrong thing, and there'll always be benefits for doing the right thing. So the more people in the world understand that, the nicer a world we'd be in. So there's absolutely a need for spirituality. There's absolutely a need for people to spiritualize themselves. There's absolutely a need for people to do spiritual development. And of course, most spiritual traditions have some aspects of that within them. So it's not solely for spiritualism or for mediumship to do that, but it's an aspect of that. And for me, that's where it's needed. That's where it's needed. Okay. What's the next question? Let me have a look. Boy, is it hot in here. 31 degrees. 31 degrees, and I'm feeling the heat. So Carolyn, can you talk about soul groups? I kind of already did at the beginning. I hope you heard that, because we talked about reincarnation in a great deal of detail. And there's this concept of soul groups whereby groups of souls come together to share their experiences, so that rather than me having to have, for me to learn from just my life, I can get to learn from everybody else's life experiences if they're shared with me. It's cooperation. In the spirit world, they talk about cooperation all the time. That cooperation is key. And they share their experiences, they share their life experiences, they blend with each other. And so that's the concept, is that as a group of souls, sometimes you meet somebody and you feel like you know them and you feel this huge connection to them. And maybe they've been a part of a group of souls that you're part of. Maybe you've got that at that level where some degree of who and what they are is already shared with you. So that's soul groups. Hopefully that makes sense. Kim, Martin's courses are amazing. Definitely recommend. I personally learned a lot, very inspirational and very insightful with your own mediumship. Thank you, Kim. Kelly, I'm a healer and a lot of my fellow healers seem to have ongoing illnesses. Does this affect the quality of healing giving, as I know we are just channels, vessels for the energy to flow? Again, I would say no. You know, all of us in our lives, as we get older, we're going to develop some health conditions. It's inevitable. As the body ages, things start to not work as well as they should. I know a lot of healers in our own healing group, some of whom have certain conditions, certain challenges. And does it affect the quality of the healing? No. If anything, the more you understand illness, the more you've experienced difficulties in your life, the easier it becomes for you to become that pure channel of love, to allow that energy, healing energy, to come through you. You know, the best healers are those who've experienced life. The best healers are those who've experienced pain. The best healers are those who've experienced challenge, because it makes you empathetic with the patient. And with healing, all you're doing is creating a link to the patient and a link to spirit, and allowing a pure flow of energy through you. Now, some people may come for healing with you, and they may not be your cup of tea. Some people may come for healing with you, and they may not be particularly spiritual. Some people may come for healing with you. And then, you know, sometimes they may have issues that they're not looking after themselves well. They may not smell the best. But for that moment of time as a healer, your job is to connect to them, to want the very best for them, if you like, to love them. For that 10 minutes, to be there on their side, fighting their corner, being connected with them, wanting the absolute best for them, sharing that love with them, opening to spirit, letting it happen, letting it be there. Allowing all these little trivial things of the earthly life to get out of the way, and allowing spirit to do their work. That's what we need. That's what we need. So, if you've got an illness, you know, if you've got an illness and it's really affecting you quite badly, and you have no energy, and you're struggling, say you're struggling to walk, yes, it's going to affect what you can do. If it's affecting your energy levels, it's affecting how you function. Yes, it's going to affect you to some degree, but it doesn't stop you being that channel for spirit. Spirit will still work with you. Spirit will still use you. And as I say, it won't affect the quality of the energy. But if, you know, sometimes we always say a bit sticks to the side of the tin as well. So you'll get a lot of benefit. Whenever I do a healing session, I always feel uplifted at the end. If I had little niggles, aches and pains, it's all gone by the end of it, because you've been that channel, that vessel through which that healing power has flowed through, and it will benefit you too. It will give you some benefit in allowing it to flow through you. So we always say a bit sticks to the side of the tin, which I think is a lovely expression. Okay, so hopefully that helps. I can't wait to take some of the courses. Thank you. You're very welcome. My courses are always available. For those who don't know, I have 9 courses that I've run. I run the course once, record them, and then make them available. If I was to do it again, you probably wouldn't get as good a course second time round as the first time, because I get so involved in it, so into it, that it just seems to take on a life of its own and goes in certain directions, because spirit, of course, are influencing it. If I was just to go back to the original slides, the original materials, and deliver it again, because I'm not truly engrossed in it and influenced by spirit in that moment, yes, you'll get a very similar course, but it probably won't be the same. So the originals are the best, even if they are recordings. So I highly recommend those courses. If you want to just learn about a specific topic, I offer 24 videos on my website. Each one runs for about 2 hours. The courses are 4 2-hour sessions, so you get a lot more detail. I also have a study program, which each module is 5 classes, which is those videos we just looked at, the 24 videos. It's based on 5 of those videos, and it adds a tutorial where people basically ask me a lot of questions about each class, on average maybe 30 questions, to explore the class content in more detail. And so basically we unpack whatever that topic is and drill into it more and go through more detail. So if that's of interest, do check those out. As I say, my mentorship course is starting this Sunday the 20th of July. It's aimed at intermediate to advanced. I talked about it quite a bit at the beginning of this session, so if you missed that, do check it out. Do have a listen. If you would like to join, let me know by Friday the 18th. That's the cutoff. Bad Moja, do you feel that there are enough institutions teaching mediumship? Is there a need for another ALC elsewhere? I think, you know, they're now compared to the past. In the past, before we had the internet, I go back now, don't I? Make it sound ancient. Back when I started training in 2001, you had to go to physical places for your training. You had to go to churches. You had to go to, if people run a course in a hotel, you'd go to one of those courses there, or you could go to places like the Arthur Findlay College. Absolutely. We went to physical places because there was no online teaching whatsoever. Online teaching kind of began in about 2009, 2010. I started teaching back then on SNUI in about 2009. It was all, we typed it. I had to type. People would ask a question and I'd type an answer. And I'm not the best typist, so it's very slow. And then it went to audio. People would talk on audio, and then video came in. And so, you know, slowly over time, it began to move forwards. And now we've got things like Zoom, which is phenomenal. We've got platforms like this with YouTube where I can live stream, and you know, this session tonight can reach 600 people. 600 people can watch it, which is fabulous. It can reach a lot of people. So for me, there's a need to spread teachings. Absolutely. There are now way more ways than ever before of being able to do that. You know, a lot of tutors now do online as well as in person, because it's so easy now. And we can reach people all over the world. In the past, if you lived somewhere in the world and there was no circle for you, it's very, very hard. But now, if you know, you can connect online. Absolutely. The SNUI was quite profound for me because it enabled people from all over the world to come together into a community and develop together and do services and things. I know many people who develop their mediumship purely online. So you don't necessarily need a physical location. Now, it's nice that we have places that have the history of the Arthur Findlay College. Absolutely. I get that. I understand that. And it's nice to know that there's places we can go where we're going to get a certain standard of mediumship as well. But there needs to be places all over the world, because not everybody has the wherewithal to be able to fly to the UK or to go to somewhere if it's a long distance for them. So the more places we can have around the world and the more mediums we can have of a certain standard, serving places around the world, brilliant. But if quality mediums are accessible just through the internet, that's wonderful as well. That's fabulous as well. So for me, do I think we need more? I think it's wonderful we've got more opportunities to teach in different ways. And that's what we need. We need abilities to share knowledge, for sure. Debbie, you talk so much sense, Martin. Well, I'm glad you appreciate that sense. I appreciate the time you give us. As I say, some people will love what I say. Some people, it will resonate with them. Others, they'll say, nah, he's not for me. It doesn't make sense to me. And I get that. Horses for courses. We're not everybody's cup of tea. If I'm your cup of tea, that's fabulous. Neil, is there a way to just switch over into the path of mediumship when doing a demo? Can we flick a switch and be brilliant? No, not really. But when we're doing mediumship, we've got to understand the connection needed. We've got to get excited. We've got to get energized. We've got to move ourselves and get well connected. And we've got to hold that connection, make sure we don't drop that connection. We've got to make sure we're staying with it. If we're having problems and we feel we're moving out, we learn to build back up. Sitting in the power is the best tool for learning and training ourselves to hold the link with spirit, provided we do it right. Provided we do it right. And so when you're demonstrating, you should be in the right connection the whole time. It's not that we do something to get us into it and out of it, into it and out of it. No, there's no switches. It's just we learn to energize ourselves. We learn to become empowered. We learn to move our mind to that space where mediumship functions. And if anyone's interested on how to do that, there is a video I offer, Mediumship Class 3, Connecting with Spirit, which talks about that. It's also a part of the Fundamentals of Mediumship course, if that's of interest as well. And I see a lot of people don't know how to connect to spirit. It's a fact. A lot of people have never been trained to connect to spirit. A lot of people have never understood the different mechanisms. And there are a whole range of mechanisms. And what I teach in that Connecting to Spirit video is the different mechanisms that different mediums used. What I would say is, how do you connect to spirit to a medium? And they tell me how they did it. And I'd say, how do you connect to spirit to another medium? And they tell me how they did it. And I managed to look through it all and see what all the different mechanisms are and how they work in lockstep, in unison, together. And how we need to stack. We need to stack these methodologies to find out what makes us empowered and what makes us connected. What works for me does not work for you. So it's a lot of trial and error. But if I can teach you the mechanisms and then say, go away and apply these mechanisms, then you get to see for yourself what's working. But it's all self-development. Getting a good connection to spirit, it's all self-development. I can't give anybody a technique that works brilliantly for you. I can give you a whole range of techniques to pull from and say, test each one, suck it and see, mix and match, put this with that, and see what happens. For myself, many mediums use visualization. I don't. I use breathing and empowered breathing. I use prayer. The power of intent and prayer for me is phenomenal in creating the energy needed to get you where you're going. Breathing is a key part of it. And it's just this sense of becoming energized and empowered. And we've got to have something that gets us there. And what actually happens is the more you do that and you link it with a certain action, we get a Pavlov's dog effect. That Pavlov's dog, we gave the dog a meal, we rang a bell, the dog associates that ringing of the bell with a meal and salivates. And then eventually just the bell by itself makes the dog think meal, and the salivation comes. That's Pavlov's dog experiment. But when we do mediumship and we get into this position, next excitement, and we're moving ourselves to the spirit world, what happens is I've only got to get on a platform now at the time of the allotted time for mediumship, and it's like Pavlov's dog, I start moving there. We train and condition ourselves to become that medium with that energy. So is there a switch? There's not a switch, but there are techniques. That's what I'm trying to say. There are techniques, absolutely. And we have to suck it in and see for ourselves. Kelly, beautifully put. Thank you once again. Yes, I love that. When we give healing, we receive it ourselves. Absolutely. I really appreciate your insight. You're an excellent fountain of knowledge. Well, I appreciate those words. I try and help. I absolutely do. You know, if you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to the channel. You can like the videos you watch. Do check out what I offer: courses, videos, study programs. If you want to leave me a super chat or a super thanks, you're more than welcome to do that, to buy me a coffee if you wish. I do all of these for free. I know how much they help people. I know the importance of sharing quality information, because there is a lot of fluff out there. There's a lot of fluff, and sometimes it's hard to cut through the fluff. So I do enjoy doing this, but if you do want to support me, it's always appreciated. Always appreciated. Okay. MB, is there like a tingling on palms and further on hands going on perhaps with this energy healings, and also this works on distance? I'm not sure what you're asking in relation to. But whenever we connect with spirit, we experience the energy of spirit, and how that energy is experienced within our own energy field is unique to us. So some people get a tingling around the head, some people may get a tingling on the palms, some people may get that feeling like when your skin's crawling. So it's like this really highly energized static around you. We all get something different. Some people get like a tightening around the head. Some people, I get a hand on the shoulder from some of my guides and helpers when spirit's close and working with me. I get this feeling, this weight just comes on my shoulder, which is wonderful. I visualize it as a hand, but it's just a sense of a weight appearing on one of my shoulders. We all get different things. We call those energy signatures, calling cards, and how with different things we do when we're doing mediumship, when we may feel one thing, when we sit in the power, we may feel something else. When we're doing healing, we feel something else. And there's no right and wrong. There are as many things experienced as there are people. Probably the most common question I get asked is, when I'm sitting in the power or when I'm doing this with spirit, I feel this. Is this normal? And the answer is, there are as many things as people, and the vast majority of them, we will come across them before. But they shouldn't be negative. That's the key thing. They shouldn't be negative. Christine, thanks for your guidance on healing. It's much appreciated. So does anyone else have any more questions they would like to answer? Nimikuputa, I just got a call that one of my clients passed away. Sorry to hear that. And yeah, and the thing is, even though we are mediums and we understand that life is eternal, and we understand that our loved ones, our friends, our family, they continue, we still miss the physical presence. Absolutely. We still have grief. We still have that, go through that bereavement process. Nobody can ever avoid that. Mediumship doesn't always make it any easier, but the only thing that we do know is we know that we'll see them again. We know that we're connected to them. We know we can hear from them. In some ways, it does lessen the pain of the process, for sure. Any quick tips to deepen that evidence, to blend stronger and get more of the story? Quite simply, it's to surrender. One of the courses I offer, Getting Better Evidence, I go through that whole process in a great deal of detail. Where you are in your mediumship determines what you need to do to get better evidence, to deepen that evidence. If you're a beginner, it's not going to be so easy. You have to work with different techniques than if you're intermediate to advanced. And so it's different for different people. And I teach different models in different ways. And it's all within that course. It's, you know, I talk about it over 4 2-hour sessions, 8 hours of teaching. It's very hard to even condense it into anything simplistic within this class. But what I'm trying to say is we can create a framework for it, and we can understand how to do it. But it's not easy to do. We need to learn to blend and surrender. But often blend and surrender doesn't work. It only works on those fabulous links, on the ones where it's just so where it's really good for us. In those other scenarios, we have to fall back on different methodologies. We have to fall back on different approaches. So the ideal would be to blend and surrender. But if that doesn't work, we've got to have something in our back pocket that's going to help us get the evidence as well. And in this world, you've got people who will share everything with you about their lives without you asking a word. Yet there's other people, if you want to find out about them, you have to ask them questions. You have to probe. You've got to get into it with them. But if you upset them, they won't give you anything. So we've got to learn to get in with people. And it's the same with spirit. Some spirits will just share everything, and others will be more guarded. Others will take a little bit of questioning. And also, spirit will look at you as a personality. They'll look at you with the qualities you possess, the spiritual qualities you possess, and that will determine how much they're willing to share through you. How well you represent them is so important. You know, people always talk about reviews in this world for their mediumship. Oh, I'd like a review for a reading or whatever. But actually, the reviews you want are the reviews from spirit. We want spirit to think we're a good medium. We want spirit to say to other communicators, go through them. They really represent you well. They'll never say anything inappropriate. They'll approach everything with tact. That I highly recommend this medium. And that's what we want. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bad Mojo, when you send remote healing for those who've recently passed, how long would you suggest sending that energy? So personally, I do not send healing to those who've recently passed. Why, you ask? Because they are getting all the help they need within the spirit world. They don't need my help. The people who need my help are the people on the earth, people left behind. That's where I send the healing to. People in this world is who need the healing. So my healing thoughts, my healing prayers go to those who've been left behind. I know, because Spirit told me many times, and I know that those, when they reach the spirit world, they're going to get so much help offered immediately. It's all the help they need is there. They don't really need us. The people who need us are the people living. So I hope that makes sense to you. You can see what I'm saying there. So in spirit, do not need help to cross. No matter what some people, I was going to say some mediums tell you, but I'm hesitant to even call them mediums who say crazy things like this. So I have a video on my channel. Do people get stuck? Do people get earthbound? Do people need someone to come along and free them? And the answer is no. Everybody at the point of your crossing to the spirit world, it is known. When you pass, somebody will be there to meet you, most likely your family, your friends. If you don't have any family or friends in the spirit world, people from your soul group will be there, your guides, your helpers, your angels, call them what you will. People will be there to make a smooth transition for you, to help you, to guide you, to counsel you, to give you the healing you need. So all of us are met. It's important to recognize that. All of us will receive what we need in that moment. They don't need anybody in this earthly world to fix anything for spirit. They're already in spirit, and the spirits in spirit are perfectly well placed to do all of that. Absolutely. The people that we have the challenge with are the people in this world who may not understand, who are going through bereavement, who are going through grief. That's where we should send the healing. How long should you send that healing for? As long as you feel inspired to do so. If you know that person and you know they're having a hard time, keep sending them healing. Absolutely. Absolutely. And do you offer one-to-one mentorship, like a small package for a couple of sessions? I don't, I'm afraid. Just again, time-wise, I'm just not able to offer that. But what I do is I do a mentorship program for a number of students. Typically, it's maybe 12 to 14 maximum. It's for intermediate to advanced levels, and it starts this coming Sunday. So if you're interested in that, do drop me a line. Let me know and I can send you an application form. All the details are on my website about the mentorship, martintwycross.com/mentorship. It's all there, all the timings there, the costs are there. And the feedback I've had has been very, very positive from the people who did it last year. I did mention something at the beginning of this class. As I say, I'm not one for blow my own trumpet and saying I'm a wonderful medium. If other people want to say that about me, that's great. If other people want to say I'm a wonderful teacher, that's great as well. But I have a hard time telling you that my mentorship will make you fabulous. It will be transformational in your mediumship. It will give you depth and insight into mediumship that you never had before. It will help unlock and clear hurdles for you in your mediumship. I don't like telling you that because it may not happen for you. But actually, that's what's happened for the people who were on the course last year. So it's possible that it happens. It happens for some of them on the course. It happens for a lot of them. All the feedback I got was undoubtedly very positive. I will put it on the website. If you're on Facebook, you can check it all out on Facebook. I may even post it in here as a comment as well, so you can see it all. But yeah, so that's the mentorship that I offer. If that's of interest, do get in touch. Thank you for your really clear and understandable answers. I always get so much practical insight with your live streams. Your time is very much appreciated. I'm glad you enjoy it. Glad you get a lot from it. So I think we've pretty much come to the end of all the questions. So I'm going to draw it to a close. So thank you for joining me. As I say, if you want to support the channel, you can subscribe. You'll get notified of future live streams. You can subscribe to my mailing list as well if you want to know when the next live Q&As are as well. Do check out my courses, study program, mentorship, etc. You can check that out through my website. And if you want to leave a super chat or super thanks, you're more than welcome if you want to buy me a coffee. There's also a PayPal me link as well in the description and comments. So thank you everyone for coming. I really hope you got a lot from it. I really hope you enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed it myself working with you this evening. And I look forward to seeing you all again on the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.